I met my best friend, during orientation of our freshman year of college. And she was this bubbly, happy girl, always eager to take on life. And towards the end of our fall semester and, that finals week limbo, she started to change. She started to, isolate herself from us. She started, completely losing her bearings on anything. She was constantly sad. She was very easy to anger. She was always irritable. We would ask her if she was okay, that why wasn't she eating, even when we went out specifically to dinner. She wouldn't eat. She would just, have a glass of water. Um, she would just lash out and say that, why did we care? It wasn't important. She wasn't important. Why were we even, focusing on such, like, unnecessary facts like her well-being? We started to see that sleep deprivedness. She started showing up to classes we had together. Her GPA would go from a 4.0 to a 2.5 in just that one semester. She really lost track of who she was and herself. And when we would ask her, are you sad? Are you alone? Are you eating? Are you depressed? She would be like, what do you care? It's like my fault that I'm the way I am. I'm not important. And this is the story of many college students, because they had just uprooted their life. They've gone from this nestle scheduled life, wake up at 6 a.m., be at school by 7:45, be at school till 4, do 1 hour of homework, and you're done. To make your own appointments, go to the doctor, go to lectures, keep track of your own assignments, no hand holding, online forums, bullying, being away from your family. You lose that sense of home, you lose that sense of familiarity, and you lose yourself. And this is what happened to her. And she didn't understand that she was depressed. She didn't even understand that she was undergoing a tremendous change. She didn't even understand that she was sad. And that just means that we have to increase education regarding depression. And when I started looking for UTEP specific data, I started drawing out blanks, and I contacted the University Counseling Center, and I'm still waiting to hear from them. But I did find a article that kind of breaks down the importance of education regarding depression, and kind of breaks down depression in the borderland. But nationally, we have statistics that of 30.1% of students suffering depression. Now, these are cataloged cases. And 26% of students that report having depression symptoms. But when asked if they are depressed, they say no, because they don't understand that their symptoms correlate to depression. Before we get to the actual research, I kind of just want to define depression. Now, the American Psychological Association defines depression as periods of extreme sadness or despair that last more than days. More than days meaning weeks, meaning months. Now, these symptoms in front of you may interfere with daily life and may cause physical pain. Physical pain being self-inflicted, like self-harm or headaches, stomach aches, etc. Now, the symptoms, I kind of just want to touch base on some of the most important ones, like feelings of guilt or worthlessness, and anger and irritability. When we started to see my best friend go through this, we started to see that these two kind of went hand in hand. Every time we would ask her something, it would always be somehow her fault, even when it wasn't even, related to her in any way, shape, or form. And we would ask her how she was. She was always, nonchalantly saying, but why? I'm not important. Why are you guys even worrying about me? I'm no one. We also noticed that she had difficulty concentrating even in everyday conversations. We were talking about her day. We would be doing kind of like a shared time. And when it was her turn, or when we asked her a question, she would not be listening to what we were saying at all. And later on, when she was, getting help, she would tell us that she just saw mouths moving. And she kind of felt like everything was going on around her, but she wasn't part of it. She lost interest in her activities. Like I said, she stopped going out with us. She stopped, going to her classes. And again, she isolated herself from us. And it breaks me to say, but she had one suicide attempt, which is when she sought help, which is when many, many, many of the depressed college students will seek help, which is a little too late. Why am I focusing on these symptoms? Because these are some of the most visible symptoms. Like you can see them losing their appetite. You can see them being angry, being restless, having difficulty concentrating. And these are kind of like the warning signs, the flashing lights for the support system of the student to kind of jump and be proactive on their getting better. There is one main research question that kind of breaks down into those 4 little ones in front of you. The main research question is, how can awareness and education regarding depression be spread to students, parents, professors, and the community to aid those under depression? And what effects does depression have on the long run in the community life and personal life? Which basically correlates to how educated are students regarding depression, and what are the treatment options available for the student? What is the student support system? Is there a support system? And how heavy is the course load of the student? The methodology is pretty standard. Conducting a literature search online to become familiar with the status quo of depression and the current state of depression. And phase 2 is dependent on phase 1. So based on what we find, I created a tailored questionnaire that in no way, shape, or form showcased that it was about depression. It just asked the student of their daily college life, if you will. Are they using alcohol on a daily basis? Do they find themselves getting drunk? Do they feel sad as the day goes on? Do they feel alone? Do they go out with friends? How long do they study? Etc., etc. And all of these questions were ranked from 1 to 10, meaning that the student would go from 1 being, no, I do not abuse alcohol, or no, I do not feel alone, to 10, yes, I am extremely alone, or yes, I am getting drunk 5 nights out of the week. Phase 3 is dependent on phase 2, meaning that after I get all those surveys back, which right now are promptly about half a return rate, I will average out the studies, the questionnaires, and I will grab those that have the highest rankings and interview them, kind of get more of a in-depth understanding of their understanding. And I am still pending on the professional interviews because there is quite a scheduling conflict going on. Phase 4 is, I guess, the most independent of all phases, because this is basically just the observation of, natural college life, just, sitting in the union and seeing if there's any of the visible symptoms kind of popping up in different students and how the people around them react. 5 and 6 are, your standard analyzing and presenting into a, research report. Right now, as it stands, our results are pretty consistent on the literature search. I have found that there is lack of education regarding depression, and depression rates are rising up, as stated by Kalkbrenner and Hernandez. And they focused the research on community college students. I am facing it on 4-year universities. Rosales, in 2013, found that counselors, we're talking clinical psychologists and university counselors, are finding a rise in mental health issues in college students. So it's pretty consistent all across the board. Olivas found that while there is depression rising, there is also the seeking of help also rising, which is always good. Our survey results, nearly half the surveys have been returned, and it shows that the student has the symptoms of depression, but they don't recognize that it is depression. They are kind of going back and forth, and sometimes you'll see eraser marks where they erase the 10 to kind of go back to a 5. Interviews, I have not conducted any interviews. I am pending the survey completion and the scheduling of the professionals. So based on the research that I have thus now, it is necessary to build education programs, education programs that shine a light on depression, that help students understand they're undergoing this depressive state, and education programs with support systems, kind of to know how to handle these situations, to know how to handle the students, because we didn't know how to handle my best friend. We just kind of let her go away thinking that, okay, she wants to do her, she can do her. There has to be a more active vocalization of the University Counseling Center, not just orientation day, this is your counseling center, you can come here for whatever mental problems you might need, because sometimes you don't recognize. And in the fast-paced life that we're leading, we might not even take the time to kind of sit down and comprehend what's going on. So there has to be constant imaging thrown everywhere about depression. Because, as with my best friend, we're seeing a lot of people attempting suicide. And while not a lot successful, it's still harsh and it's still heartbreaking to see. And being proactive and being on defense, maybe almost, prevention is the best form of fighting it, the form of defeating it, because there is really no vaccine, no medication that will prevent it. It's more of a antidepressant to treat it well, but we do need that prevention. Thank you. Should you have any questions, feel free to comment down below, and I will respond to as many as I possibly can.